Start responding to comments by videos. So if you want one responded to, make a comment, ask a question, I will cover anything. So here's one that I particularly like. I felt it was a good question. And it basically says, spot on for me, I'm stuck in the mind game. I chase loving and blissful feelings. I heard before knowing one's being is the most boring experience there is. Having a cup of tea is more exhilarating. Haha. I feel bad because I feel I have to achieve something and pursue some goal and make a huge effort to come away from my ego. I'm stuck in a paradox land and I'm unsure how to continue into freedom. Okay, there's a lot there and I understand all of it. So the video I made was about realizations and how realizations aren't it. And sometimes you can mistake the realization, the joy of the realization as the awakening, but that's not the awakening. The awakening is the liberation that promotes this outward experience of joy. So your response to your awakening is not the awakening, because when you do that, you start chasing a high and you can feel completely awake in a low. You feel completely awake when you're bored. You feel completely awake when you're exhilarated. You feel completely awake when you're angry or in pain. It's not a state. It is an alignment with the space in which and as which states occur. The way this is often described is the screen is the awakened presence, and whatever's on the screen is the dynamic energy, and they're inseparable, but your nature is the screen, which is stable, open, clear, available, present, luminous, free. And the story on the screen is whatever it is. So if I was in a movie right now, and this is the screen that you're looking at this video with, the screen is the awakening. And I go, screen, I'm the screen, wow. Me on the screen going, wow, is not the awakening. The awakening is the realization, I am the screen, I am consciousness. So whatever happens as a result of that realization is not it. That's the first thing. Secondly, I'm stuck in the mind game. So I'm stuck in a mind game. Conceptual idea is stuck in another conceptual idea. So awareness cannot be stuck anywhere. It's unrestrained. It's completely incredible. It has no boundaries, like the screen I just mentioned. So imagine the screen, imagine an actor on a screen saying, I'm stuck in a game. They're both concepts appearing on the screen. So they're meaningless as far as what the screen is concerned. They're both one half of a liberated coin. So when you say I'm stuck, you can't be stuck. If you can say I'm stuck, you can't be stuck, because that's awareness talking. Nothing else has the capacity to say I. Whenever you use the word I, you're always referencing pure consciousness, because a thought, which is what you take yourself to be, can't say I. How does a thought say I? Right? So think of yourself. I can't say I. Imagine in a dream, you dream yourself as a character, and the character says, I feel stuck. Who's saying I? The character or the consciousness that dreams the character? And is the consciousness that's dreaming the character stuck in its own game? How? How would that be possible? How would it be possible? If you was asleep and you're dreaming you stuck in a game, you're dreaming, and your pure consciousness, which you could dream anything. You could be dreaming that 1 minute, next minute you could be like, I really fancy an apple. right? And then the next thing after that, you could be like, I wonder what it'd be like to transverse space. And then you come back to the idea, oh, I'm stuck in the mind game. They're just fleeting concepts appearing in this vast non-dual space called awareness, or the absolute. I sometimes like to call it more and more, because I feel awareness can be misleading, because sometimes you can be like, I'm really aware. I'm a vegan and I compost my trash, right? So the absolute is a little bit more precise, because the absolute awareness is just one quality of the absolute. Okay, back to this. So in terms of I'm stuck in a mind game, when that thought appears, just leave it as it is. Don't try to change it. Don't try to address it. Don't do anything with it. Just let it be as it is. It will arise as awareness. It will abide as awareness, and it will subside as awareness without straying from awareness in between. So that's how you get to know your nature, by leaving things as they are. I chase loving and blissful feelings. There's nothing wrong with enjoying or cultivating loving and blissful feelings. Chasing them, you've separated them from who you are. So if you're chasing a feeling, that's almost like the ocean saying, I really want to chase waves that crash. I want to chase the ones that curl over. It's all waves. It's all waves. Why would it want to chase itself, right? Instead, it can just watch the ebb and flow of its nature, and it can see that sometimes blissful feelings appear, and enjoy them when they do. But that's what's really interesting, is because you're made of bliss. The nature of the absolute is bliss, Sat Chit Ananda, the bliss of knowing oneself. That when this ocean friend stops trying to chase the waves that curl over, and starts to enjoy the heave-ho of its body in its full spectacular rendition, the bliss that's already there, which is the only bliss that exists in actuality, becomes known. So in the stop of chasing the loving and blissful feelings, they appear within you, which is way more valuable. Because I'm assuming when you're talking about chasing loving and blissful feelings, it's perceived as being outside of yourself. It might be a partner, it might be a party, it might be some success, it might be a location. But all of these are temporary appearances that just lead to suffering. The Buddha said, dukkha is suffering, but what that actually means, it's happiness is the suffering of change. I'm having a blissful experience. Oh no, it's ended. I wish I could have another one, but I can't find one. That is a one-sentence summary of unhappiness. Wanting, not having. Getting, not wanting to go. Losing, wanting it back. That is what is going on. But that whole display is blissful if you don't chase it and just let yourself be, and notice the bliss that already exists just by being you. I heard before, knowing one's being is the most boring experience there is. This sounds like a platitude or like a clever twist, and it could have been a very good pointing in its original form. I don't mean the words are different, but I mean that who was saying it and to whom, right? If I had someone, and I do have students, if one said to me, wow, this is the most exciting thing, awakening, I really had a good awakening because I went to a party and I met this person and we had a great connection. It was so awakening, right? Because people do say stuff like that. I might say to them, actually, knowing oneself is the most boring thing you can ever do. Try and find the most boring place you can be and know yourself there. So it could be skillful, but generally it's not the case, because knowing oneself is the most blissful experience that you can enjoy. There's nothing more blissful. I would concede to say that it would be boring for the mind initially, but the mind is just like a child, really, that it doesn't want to do anything that it's not familiar with already. But then once it does it, it's like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. So from your experience, from your question, I think it is probably a good pointer to look for, try to find the boringness in being. See if you can find the boringness in being, and that might cultivate your attention towards yourself in a way that's free of expectation, and that could be beneficial. Having a cup of tea is more exhilarating if it's certain forms of Chinese white tea I've been having recently, I would agree. I feel bad. Okay, just who is the I that feels bad? Right? Who is I that feels? Try and find the one that feels bad. Is it your nose? Is it your head? Is it your reflection in the mirror? Is it your last thought? Is it your collection of thoughts? Is it your summary of your life? That's not a person. So who is it that feels bad? That's a label that you've attached to another set of circumstances. I don't have enough objects with me right now, but let's pretend fingers. Let's say my reflection in the mirror, my name, my current job, and sensations in the body, and a thought, and all of that I call me, and I say it makes me feel bad. So me, bad. So you've got, now all you've gone is from 5 things to 7, but there's still no person there. They're just appearing in this luminous display. Even the character I, we think it's like a holding zone for all of the other appearances, but it's not. It's just another appearance equal to any other. Name, job, body, mirror, feeling, thought, me. That, oh wait, what's me? Me's everything. No, it's not. It's just another appearance. So that's I feel bad. I feel I have to achieve something and pursue some goal and make huge effort to come away from my ego. This is completely natural and beneficial. It's good. This is what they call bodhicitta, which is the desire to awaken, but it's being corrupted by your own causes and conditions. So what that basically means is that you've probably feel you have to achieve stuff in life because you're a human called SAMP 734, and most things that we do in life are difficult. Like, I've got to get an education, I've got to get to college, I've got to make money, all big hard tasks. God, awakening is going to be impossible. I've really got to do something. But it's the only activity that's already accomplished. Like, it's the only thing about you that's already accomplished. So it's in the not seeking that it's found. And this is why it's so paradoxical, because you're already it. It's like if you're on a desert island and you spend all day looking for a desert island, it's exhausting, right? And it's more like you live on a desert island and they say to you, find New York, and you go on a massive adventure and you find New York and you come back and you go, oh, that's very difficult, but I did it. Okay, now find Australia and you go on a massive adventure, you come back and, oh, it's really difficult, but I did it. And now I say, find the island, and you go on a massive adventure, you just can't find it. It's because you're already on it, but you're exhausting yourself. So it's a trick in some ways, and it's to stop seeking. Like, Don't make any effort to come away from your ego. And that, how does that happen? What comes away from what? What comes away from what? What is an ego? Right? I mean, I've used the term ego, but I have to say to you that where does an ego exist? There's no such thing as an ego. An ego is just an appearance of pure consciousness. So where would you, and let's pretend, let's say that it's a collection of these activities that we spoke of earlier, that's your ego. Who gets away from that and where do they go? Like there's only one place, this. The screen analogy never fails. So I'm on a screen and I want to get away from my ego. There's only one way to do that. It's to recognize that I'm the screen and that there's no need to get away from anything because it's all completely empty of a separate origin. You see that a lot of the Advaita teachers, they say there is no self, but that's not true. There is a self. Hello, I'm talking to you, I'm the self, right? But it doesn't have a separate origin. It doesn't have its own place to exist. It only exists due to awareness. So it's empty of an independent self. The self that fills the ego, the self that fills me talking to you now, is the one self. And in some people it's recognized as that, and in others it's not. But the lack of recognition doesn't stop it being what it is. You can't, I'm not going to recognize the sun and then the sun goes away. No, the sun stays and you don't recognize it, and someone else recognizes it and the sun doesn't care. It doesn't care. It illuminates both. It shares its warmth equally. This is the same as consciousness. It doesn't care whether there is an appearance of non-recognition and there is an appearance of recognition. It has no interest in that. It's completely free and open, grand display. So for you, it's like, when are you going to stop pretending you're asleep? Just don't do it. Just lie back, allow yourself to recognize yourself as pure consciousness, enjoy total freedom as that, and whenever anything comes up that isn't that, allow it to be as it is. Don't fight it, don't resist it. I welcome you, Mr. No, Mrs. Doubt, Mrs. I'm not awake. I should probably use other pronouns. I can't think of any right now. Just don't recognize yourself as a practice. And just as a caveat, sometimes I see in the non-dual perspective, people talk about they stop using pronouns, I, they. They stop using them, and they go, this happening, this hunger is happening, and that's useful, but it's not practical. So you don't have to stop calling yourself your name and being who you are and talking to people as a person. Hey, my name's Joe and I like playing the guitar. But you just don't identify with it. You don't identify with this self. Look. A huge effort to come away from my ego. Hello Joe, Hi, how are you? Happiness is happening. Like, that's me making a huge effort to come away from my ego. How are you feeling today? Joy is pulsing. It's just like that's what some people think getting away from your ego is. Getting away from your ego, what it looks like is, in very practical terms, getting away from your ego means you're in a line and you're trying to check out, and the person in front of you is really slow and you're late for work. Getting away from your ego is resting with those sensations and being a beneficial entity in that moment. So the person's faffing around and they're looking very stressed and you're really late for work, but you still say to them, don't worry about it, you take your time. That's getting away from your ego. You're having a conversation with someone, you get a bit heated, you say something that's a little bit rude. Getting away from your ego would be, hey, I'm sorry about that. I was getting a bit heated. That's not really what I wanted to say. What I actually meant was this. Right? Getting away from your ego is, I've just had a really nice breakfast and it's stimulated loads of cravings and I want to go up. I'm at a hotel, I want to go up for another round, and instead you go for a walk. So getting away from the control of the ego is more about the easeful way in which you go around in the world in your life. The more you see through this thing that we've labeled the ego, which is really just non-recognition of awareness, right? It's behaviors based on the non-recognition of awareness. So getting away from your ego shows up more as a compassionate, open-hearted being functioning through the world. This is why in Buddhism they have the 5 precepts, because the 5 precepts, well, they actually have a lot more, but for lay people it's 5, is because these are what they call antidotes, which is actually interesting because I call them antidotes as well before I even knew this. But I call them non-harmful antidotes, but I just call them antidotes. And what it means is that they have you follow a list of rules to try and force yourself into awakening. So you pretend to be awake essentially until you have an awakening. But the reason why they have you pretend is because these are the qualities that come about when you are awake, right? You stop behaving in ways which are harmful to yourself and others naturally, because the awakening quality of the absolute is compassion, reverence, respect, kindness, but also not weak, yielding, unless it's beneficial. So this getting away isn't some kind of bliss feeling, I've escaped my ego. It's more a way of behaving that shows up. Because when you are recognizing your ego will inform your actions, and your ego is based on your causes and conditions, which is another way of saying ego. So when you're in that line and this old lady's trying to find a change and you want to get to work, your causes and conditions will be like, oh, come on, look, just hurry up. Why don't you just do this, right? And I've done stuff like that in the past. Or you might even be more arrogant. So look, I'm just going to pay because I need to go. Just pay for hers, pay for mine. Here's $25 or something, and just leave. These are all based on causes and conditions. Alternatively, when you recognize awareness, you're informed by the absolute. And the absolute is infinitely patient and perfectly prioritized. And it's absolutely clear in that moment that giving this person support to be who they are is way more beneficial than being late for work by a minute. So you just know this instinctively. It will just come about. Now look, I know nothing about your life, so this may not be relevant, but you can take this and apply it to your own situations, right? Awakening shows up as a behavior because awakening is a shift that so you're already awake, but the realization of that is a shift in your relationships with everything. Inanimate objects, you lose your phone, okay, get another one, right? You have an argument, you overstepped, you apologize, or you don't even engage in the argument, right? You spend too much money, you might start saving. You never exercise, you might start moving, right? So it harmonizes all relationships. It simultaneously exhausts all thoughts and perfects all qualities at the same time. I'll leave you to think about that. I'm stuck in paradox land. That must be such a cool place to be. Paradox land. It reminds me of a amusement park, an amusement park for seekers. It's full of paradoxes. I've never come across more paradise, whatever it is. I've never come across more than in the field of awakening. The whole thing is a paradox. Because you're already awake, yet it's really hard to do, right? The world's full of suffering, yet it's made of bliss. Life is so short, yet it's eternal. There's no such thing as time, right? It's full of paradox. I don't know what to call them, paradoxes. I'm unsure how to continue into true freedom. Okay, welcome the uncertainty. What's more freeing than being comfortable with complete uncertainty? Total uncertainty. I don't know what the hell's going to happen, and I'm totally fine with it. So that's what I would do with that. I would rest in complete uncertainty of not knowing how to continue. All right. I hope that's useful. Feel free to comment any more comments and I will respond in this style. And I'll see you in the next video.